Welcome back to another episode with us.
Put this video together. It's everything to do with lithium chemistry from start to finish, showing off-grid and off-grid systems that are available on the market.
It's a lengthy episode, so be sure to grab your popcorn. It features you a lot of good insight and information about lithiums.
This is not only for the sail guys or the boating industry. This is off-grid living, 4x4ing, everything to do with solar and lithium power kind of setups.
Don't forget to subscribe below if you haven't already, and check out the rest of our videos where we have rebuilt our Dean catamaran.
She was old and neglected, so we cut her to bare holes and built her up from the ground with our blood, sweat and tears.
So follow our journey as we plan to sail her to new destinations and make lasting memories.
Last week on Sailing Lady Africa, we headed down to the Cape Town boat show and Ricky started ferrying off our decks. While we were in Cape Town, we decided to head off to Blue Nova, who will be supplying us with our lithium batteries.
I couldn't even pick up one of the lead acid ones.
So standing here with James from Blue Nova. These are the batteries that are behind us, are what we're looking at for the boat and for the yacht application. We advised that this would be the best system for us. Firstly, they're nice and sealed, completely self-contained, and with all the safety precautions that we need to take.
So these batteries here, which comes in these black boxes, are our mini series of batteries. They come in 13 volts, which is the 12 volt market, and the 26 volts. We use them basically in three markets. One is the leisure market, which is the market that you are in. These batteries are capable of delivering 150 amps continuous. They have the protection circuits built in like all the others. They can surge up to 350 amps, which makes them nice for inductive loads, to start motors, to start pumps, that sort of stuff. You can place up to 20 of these batteries in parallel if you make sure that you wire them correctly so they balance the current. They have the ability to communicate via CAN bus to the systems outside, so they can control the chargers, they can control the inverter, they can shut down the inverter if there's anything wrong. The leisure market version comes with an integrated user interface. These ones are destined for the crank, which is the starter motor market, which is the second market. In the starter motor market, these batteries replace normal traditional, I think they're normally about 200 amp hour, 260 amp hour, 24 volt batteries. The third market is the tail lift market. That's where these batteries are fitted in the back of big trucks. These batteries can handle 300 amps for full charge and discharge. We don't operate them like that, but because they're lithium batteries, they can handle that high power. Okay, so that's the unit. It comes in an IP67 casing, which means that you can spray it, you can wash it off. So it's outside in a truck. They are going to inevitably get a lot of water. Yeah, that's the system. It weighs 25 kilograms. It replaces 4 lead acid batteries of 100 amp hour each.
James, another thing when it comes to these batteries, and a lot of people have mentioned about the instability of LiFePOs and all of that. How do these batteries, and we'll also show a video of how safe and how much testing they've done on these systems and how good these systems really are, even through puncture and through everything else that they've been exposed to. We'll also add that video in there. But James, what gives people peace of mind that you can install these systems on a yacht or on a boat, on an outdoor application, for all the guys that are in RVs?
So I think let's talk about safety first. It's all in the name. Lithium ion batteries is spelled ION. It's got nothing to do with iron, which is Fe. And in the lithium ion family of batteries, you have basically two extremes in terms of energy density. On the one extreme, you have LiFePO, lithium polymer, which is a synthesized battery. They're fundamentally unstable. The moment that you puncture them or rupture or put them like 500-600 degrees Celsius, they will violently react with the oxygen. It will release a huge amount of energy and it will self-destruct within a couple of seconds. On the other side of the spectrum, you have lithium titanate, which is a extremely stable lithium battery. It's about twice the weight of this, 3 times the price. It's not really suited for our market. And we selected a cathode chemistry that is just one notch up from lithium titanate. It's around about 120 watt hours per kilogram. It is the safest lithium chemistry other than titanate. You can short these batteries out, you can puncture them, you can put pieces of steel through them, you can burn them in fires. You can see those videos. You can overcharge them, over discharge them. They just don't have what is known as thermal runaway. So thermal runaway is when the inside of the battery reaches very high temperatures and the lithium is exposed to oxygen, and the oxygen molecules inside the carbonized sheets then reacts with the oxygen, and that's thermal runaway. It will then burn and fuel itself. These batteries in the last 20 years of testing and self-destructive tests have not exhibited any thermal runaway. So we're quite confident that you can use them, you can have big accidents with them. I've seen big accidents happen with them where trucks roll and these batteries end up in shorted positions and broken up, and they just don't contribute to the chaos.
What about fumes? Like now when we're talking about if these batteries really go bad, are these fumes toxic that are coming from these batteries?
So you'll see that if you do short these batteries out, they release a gas. It's a fluoride gas. They will vent, they have vented holes. The fumes are non-toxic. It's not that they're going to kill you. I wouldn't recommend that you breathe them freely. You should try and avoid it. You must wash your face, but they're certainly not going to kill you. They certainly won't cause serious long-term damage if you're exposed to them for a short period of time.
Perfect.
The single most impressive thing about these batteries is not the weight or the size or the safety or anything like that. It's the charge efficiency. These batteries have got a charge efficiency of about 98%.
Wow.
Sometimes 99% if you charge them slowly. A lead acid battery, when you charge it from 50% to 100% full, will lose up to 40% of the inbound energy. So you need 40% more solar power or generator.
Guys, for us the biggest decision was going to lithium, was the weight, the space saving, having the reliability that a good product can deliver for us. I honestly believe that we found the solution with Blue Nova. This is the system that we're going to go with. So ours are getting built and it will be 2 of these. The system that we'll be getting is pretty much like this, and it's completely self-contained. Everything's literally already built in there for us. What comes inside this box that we receive? So it's been shipped to us. What do we get inside?
The battery is plug and play. You have an on-off switch, got an onboard processor. It can pre-charge the bus capacitors of your Victron system so that there's no sparks or anything like that. You have cell level protection on both voltage and temperature. So if there's any shutdowns and over temperature, under temperature. It's a completely managed system with external communication.
So James, cyclability and all of that stuff, like do we chuck the batteries out after 5 years? How do we go about that?
Lithium iron phosphate batteries has got a complete compliance green status. 97% of the battery is basically made out of aluminium, copper and plastic. And those are all recyclable materials. You don't have to go to any special recyclable facility. You can go to any hobbyist type of shop. They love that sort of stuff. They take it and they recycle it.
How many cycles can we expect from our system once we've installed it on the boat?
If you sail every single day, and you discharge your battery to 80% every single night, and charge it back the next morning within the next 3-4 hours, you will get 5,000 cycles out of this battery.
5,000 cycles.
Which is about 13 years.
So in the event that like we kind of really demanding on the system, or if maybe someone could only afford one battery, could he do multiple charges and discharges in a day? Can the battery handle that?
Yeah, absolutely. In diesel hybrid scenarios where the diesel generator starts in the morning during, let's say, a peak load, doing dishes, doing washing, doing stuff like that, and ironing, then they service the electric loads but charge the battery full. Comes 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever, they shut down the generator. They run the whole day on the battery. Comes 4 o'clock in the afternoon, again, the working period from 4 to 6, start the generator again, and they charge the battery full up by 6, 7 o'clock that evening, shut down the generator, and then they discharge. Those are, if they do a full discharge, that counts as 2 cycles. So you'll get about 7 years out of the battery. Two electrodes. The one is an anode, and the other one is a cathode. Okay. And they are normally made of some sort of material that's on the periodic table that allows for a charge difference to build up between the anode and cathode. So normally what they do is they fill this in a container with some sort of electrolyte. Okay. And the electrolyte actually allows charge to go from the anode to the cathode. So if you go and you put a charger and you charge the battery, then what happens is electrons flow cathode to the anode, and then in a lithium battery you have ions, which are particles, that goes across a membrane from the one side to the other side. and they carry charge. So they're positively charged ions, and they go from the one side to the other side of the battery during the charge cycle, and then they go back during the discharge cycle. So if you have a charger and you charge them up, you can get fully charged cathode and a depleted anode, like that. And then if you go and take the charger away and you put your load there, which is a little light bulb or whatever, then the process happens in reverse. And if you use a lead acid battery, this is sulfuric acid electrolyte, and you have copper, lead, and you have electroplating process. Exactly the same, that's how a battery works. That's the important thing. In a lithium ion battery, you can take a battery and charge it to, let's say for instance, 3.6 volts, which is the fully charged potential of the cell. And when you discharge, you can take it down to about 2.85 volts. And so, by the way, we operate our batteries between 3 volts and 3.5 volts. These are the operating range.
Is that a safety margin also?
If you go and you discharge the battery below, let's say 2.0 volts, then what you find is that on the anode you have these little fingers that grow out. And remember, this is an electrically isolated layer. And they puncture this membrane. And then you have electrical conductivity between the anode and the cathode. And that's when the cell shorts out. Now, in a battery, like your battery, you have 4 cells in series to make a 12-volt battery. Okay? So you have 4 cells in series, makes typically 13 volts. If this over-discharge situation occurred, then one of these cells actually becomes a 0 ohm resistor. It actually shorts out. Now, the next time that you want to charge to 14.2 volts, which is the charge set point, you can see that instead of sharing the voltage between 4 cells, you are now sharing it between 3 cells. And then you go beyond the safe point, which is, in our case, 3.9 volts, which is the safe point. If you go over 4 volts, then this cell builds up pressure. And finally, it'll build up temperature as well, and it will explode. Now, depending on the nature or the chemical construction of the cathode, it's either going to go in what they call a thermal runaway, which means it can put oxygen in contact with lithium, or it doesn't allow the oxygen to break off the decarbonized lithium cover on, which means that it won't go into thermal runaway. So we use what is called lithium iron phosphate, LiFePO4. And this cathode material has got this bonding of oxygen molecule, which makes it safe, even up to 1000 degrees C. I'll show you how we can take these cells and put them in a fire, high temperature fire, and they will not explode. But if you take another chemistry, like for instance LCA, lithium cobalt aluminium oxide, or NMC, lithium nickel manganese cobalt, these cathode materials have got a low bonding between the oxygen molecule and the lithium molecule, which if it comes off, it then starts burning violently. And that's what you've seen historically. The Airbus fire was an NMC fire. The Tesla cars that explode are LCA fires.
Yes, James. And this is his product. And he believes so much in his product that there's it in there, no protection. And how long has this been in here, James?
We've been testing it like for 4 years now.
4 years.
Yeah.
In there, no protection on his cells.
Yeah.
And that's how much faith he has in his products that he puts it in there.
When you don't have a yacht,
Yeah.
have a land yacht like me, you put a 4 kilowatt-hour lithium battery.
Check this out, and this is for all your land-based guys right here.
That's great.
Okay, so basically we have an AC input, which is the shore input power, and our AC output breaker. We have a 30 amp DC charger running off mains, so it's 220 in, we can do 30 amps.
30 amp.
We have a 45 amp solar MPPT charger for our solar systems. We have our solar panels just input in here. We just throw them out while the guys are opening the beers.
Yeah.
Because we run a ice maker inside.
Ice maker in there.
I've only got 500 watts. Then I've got my monitoring system that gives me logging, gives me internet access. We teach people to do that themselves.
Yeah.
And this is a nice little one. It's called a buck boost converter. It takes the alternating input. And it doesn't matter what the alternator is doing. It can give me 50 amps into the battery.
Wow.
So if I get to a camp and I want to go and not bother about recharging, I can get 30 plus 45 plus 20. This has got 20 in here.
All at the same time?
Plus 50, yeah, so 145 amps.
Wow.
So I can fill up my battery in 2 hours and go into Namibia for like a week without charging my batteries.
How's it going, guys?
Good on yourself.
Good, good, good. What are you guys doing?
We are doing the 16K. The 16K, 26 volt.
26 volt system.
Yeah.
And how long does it roughly take you guys to build a system like this?
More or less 1 hour, 30 minutes is good.
1 hour, 30 minutes. So these guys got premium quality workmanship. I mean, this battery's not complete, but the workmanship in these complete cells, super neat, sealed systems. These are all residential application batteries. Breakers, isolators, everything in the systems already. This is the chief test engineer here at the facility. And Mosi, tell a bit about what you do and kind of what's your...
Well, this is our big boy, our little flagship. And this is the king of all the batteries. And this is where we do our main testing. This is where we do our factory acceptance test of all our big units, all the way from our 4K, from our 8K, 60K, 24K, 40K, and our 65K battery. So as you can see over here, we have our charging station with all our inverters. And those elements up there, that's our load that we're putting on. We've got another unit behind you. So this is we do our heat testing. We check that every single failure test is tested rigorously. And we charge them up, discharge them, charge them up again, and see where it gets hot and where there's anything that can go wrong, possibly go wrong, can go wrong in the factory.
Before any of you guys ever get any of these products, it's been thoroughly tested and made sure that if it is going to break, which it won't, it gets broken here. And so you guys get a fail-safe and fail-proof product at the end of the day.
This is the 1 kilowatt hour battery. And it's the smallest battery we make. It's really, that's what I use for, if I just go out with somebody else, and they've got a little fridge, sound system, a couple of LED lights, run the whole weekend off a battery. It replaces 2 105 lead acid batteries. So they typically weigh 26 kilograms each. So that's 52 kilograms with the lead acid, and this is 10 kilos.
Yes, I couldn't even pick up one of the lead acid ones.
So basically, every single cell in a battery has to be monitored, the voltage and the temperature. We monitor the cell voltages with these cell boards up to about 5 millivolts. Typically voltage is 3,500 millivolts, and we measure accurately to 5. We then run our protection circuit. So all the things are measured here. Then on this side, we have a high power impulse relay. So this impulse relay can handle 2,500 amperes. The idea is that if there's any faults, we disconnect the battery from the load instantaneously. Typically when we switch it on, it's also a very dangerous thing switching on a battery because you don't know really what you're connected to. And if there's a short or cables are touching or there's internal fault in the inverter or maybe the chargers are something wrong or somebody shorted them out or connected them incorrectly, these batteries can deliver huge amount of power. It'll vaporize the equipment. On startup, we monitor the output of the battery. And what we do is we have a little pre-charge circuit inside here, which normally charges up the capacitors inside your inverter or inside your charge controller. And if that voltage doesn't rise or to a certain level within a certain period of time, we won't close the breaker. Then we think there's something wrong. We switch the battery on. You can listen here closely. It'll charge that voltage up. And then there's this high power impulse relay, which we then close if the conditions are fine, that's the case. And if there's a fault, then it will trigger that and you can then hear the breaker opening up. And that is a very unique feature in the Blue Nova batteries. If we have a fault, like a high temperature, and the fault clears, then we will automatically reclose that. So if you park your yacht in Dubai and everything is closed and the sun's shining through the battery room and the temperature goes to above, I think 65 degrees Celsius, we'll open the contactor, everything will shut down. Later that afternoon when the temperature drops down, we sense that and we close the contactor, the inverters come up and the fridges start running. See that our batteries here have got built-in fuses. So these fuses makes that our battery does not need additional fuses between the battery and the inverter. Lastly, if you look here, you have a complete user interface, albeit quite small. If you want to look at your battery in isolation. You can go through here, you can look at the voltages, the currents. You can even zoom in and look at each individual cell voltage. In the world of off-grid living or harvesting solar energy for self-consumption, there's the sort of sub 10,000 Rand, 1 kilowatt type of products which you buy from any sort of outlet. And then there's a big jump to solar systems which typically cost from 100,000 Rand up. And we identified a gap where there's a massive amount of people without power at their homes, but still wanting to have a significant amount of power. If I say significant, I mean you must be able to boil a kettle, run just the fans, but run a microwave oven, operate a hairdryer. I'm thinking of a home that costs anything between, let's say, 300 and 600,000 Rand. So people are fairly low LSM, but they don't have access to power, and they don't have access to proper power. So we developed a product called Impi. It's a compact hybrid system. It is a completely self-contained unit, as you can see here. It has a 2 kilowatt-hour lithium ferrophosphate battery on board, and it has a complete battery charger, inverter, and solar charger, all built into the same system. If you're concerned about additional storage, well, you can buy one of these units. It's a 2 kilowatt-hour battery. It's the same battery capacity as this one, but it's got no inverter in. They just couple on the DC side with each other. You can add as many as 20 of these units in parallel.
For all the big lodging guys, the guys up in Mozambique that follow the channel and that, if you guys want a serious hardcore system, take you completely off the grid, take you into solar, this is what James and them are building here behind me. This is one of those hardcore systems. James, what are we talking about in capacity on this?
Yeah, so this is a dual power system. It's got 10 kVA quattro, so 10 kilowatts or 10 kVA is about 8 kilowatt continuous. That is 2 channels. You can charge here with 70 amps on the one MPPT and 85 amps on the other. They can take the high voltage solar arrays at 250 volts. So the system here typically is charging at about 150, 200 amps, DC side. You can obviously charge from generators. Both of these charge, that's 20 kVA at 50 watts, it's 200 amps. If they all charge together, you can get about 350 amps continuous charging. We then run this, in this case we're running it with a 4 kilowatt hour battery.
What you guys are probably thinking now, James, what are you doing with that small battery? But let's get James to show us what he really connects up to these things.
Okay, so this is a 40 kilowatt hour battery. So just to put it in perspective, a typical household that draws about 400 watts during the evening, this system can take about 10 of those homes through the night. They're really destined for lodges. So sort of a 20 bedroom lodge can run off one of these batteries throughout the night. And then the big boy is this one here, which is a 65 kilowatt hour, also a 52 volt system. It's about 50% more capacity than that.
For you guys that want more than this, James will build you a container fully stocked with the beast mode system. And that will run a small city almost. That thing's huge. These guys are super professional in the way they set up things. The backup that they're teaching you guys are phenomenal. For everyone that's in Africa at the moment, this is probably the biggest guys that you really want to get in touch with. Blue Nova, they'll sort you out.
I mean, guys, just check it this, and this is like just what's in at the moment for kind of like this week or next week to get kind of done, and that's how much cells these guys import. It's container loads of the stuff.
Stay tuned till next week, where we visit the petting zoo, carry on fixing our boat, and visit with Dave, a fellow boat builder. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe below if you haven't already, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up because it helps us out a lot. If you would like to join our awesome patron family, a link is provided in the description below.